Epilogue. The morning sun rose over the Atlantic, casting a gentle light over the cliff walk in Newport. A lone jogger and his shepherd mix made their way along the trail that lined the cliffs, the dog darting up the lawns of the mansions alongside the path. The shepherd sniffed through the brambles and undergrowth, sussing out the new day's scents. The man, a retired software engineer named Harold, smiled as he watched his dog run ahead on the lawns of the private mansions, the early chill from the breeze off the ocean bringing a flush to his cheeks. He had taken this path hundreds of times, its turns and vistas as familiar to him as the rhythm of his breath. The beautiful cliff on one side, the lawns and mansions on the other. It was good for the soul. But as he rounded a bend in the trail, he heard a faint buzzing in the distance, a sound that had no place among the birdsong and crashing waves. He stopped, frowning, scanning for its source. The dog, oblivious, continued his playful romp, barking at a shadow that flickered over the undergrowth. A dark shape hovered above him, now clearly a mechanical hum slicing through the quiet morning air. Harold squinted, shading his eyes against the sun's glare. It was a drone, small but sleek, its movements precise and deliberate as it hovered, circling. Harold shook his head, muttering under his breath about tourists and their gadgets. He turned away, calling his dog back to his side. But the buzzing grew louder, more insistent, a high-pitched whine that seemed to echo against the rocks. He glanced back, his irritation giving way to unease as the drone swept lower, its camera lens fixed on him and his dog. The dog barked again, leaping up at the approaching drone, and Harold's unease turned to anger. "Hey, get!" he shouted, waving his hands to shoo it away. But the drone ignored him, its trajectory shifting to follow the dog's frantic movements. A chill ran down Harold's spine. This wasn't just a hobbyist's toy. The drone was behaving with a purpose, pushing, following. It moved with the precision of a hunter, adjusting its position each time the dog darted left or right. He reached out, trying to grab the drone out of the air, but it swooped back, its movements unnaturally quick. As Harold stumbled forward, he tripped over an exposed root, sprawling onto the ground. He barely had time to regain his footing when the drone dipped lower again, sending the dog into a frenzy. Harold's hands swatted at the air. He cried out, stumbling backwards. The last thing Harold saw before falling over the cliff was the drone's unblinking eye. The news of Harold's death made the rounds in local papers, filed under "unfortunate hiking accident." The cause of death was listed as fall from the cliff, resulting in a blunt force trauma to the head and drowning in the sea. His family, grief-stricken, requested privacy as they buried him in the town cemetery, his dog by their side, the animal's eyes searching for its lost companion. No one connected the dots. No one looked for the drone that was trained to keep seagulls off Bill Mayer's lawn. No one noticed the similarities to another incident a mere 100 miles away, where a drone had malfunctioned, setting off a chain of events that ended in Stella Everdeen's death. But somewhere in the code bases of anonymous developers, a pattern began to form. An algorithm behaving as its creators coded, and in ways no one had foreseen. And as the drones continued to fly over fields, over snow, over forests and beaches, the hum of their engines carried with them a question that no one had yet dared to ask. What else had they been programmed to do?